What's up guys, this is Balázs from RacingBrick, and this is my next video about the 42129 4x4 Mercedes-Benz Zetros trial truck and its potential modifications. There's so much exciting content to make about this set. I created a playlist of the published videos and I will add the new ones as well. You can check it out in the top right corner. I received many questions and requests about this set. Yes, I will take it outdoors soon, but as I mentioned in my main review, there are too many things on it that you can easily lose, so I will now remove what is not vital and also do some quick corrections to secure the loose parts. And we will also see if there are other suspension and wheel options to use from my collection and how they affect the climbing abilities. Let's get started. Here are a couple of wheels that I could quickly collect. I did not go for the look, they might have rims that don't match, but the aim is to quickly test how they fit on the truck and also compare the performance. So this is the stock tire and this is the ramp that it can still climb with them. This will be the reference. If it can't climb it with the other tire, then I don't consider that one a viable option. So, lots of tires and tests to do. Let's start from the bigger end. Here are the power puller tires. Had to use spacers to fit on the wheel hubs. This is the look, and the climbing is a clear no-go. Tires from the 4x4 Extreme Off-Roader and the Class Zerion, and climbing again fails. Now tires from the Big Red, this is the look, and similar results as before for the climbing. Tires from 93-98, this is the look, and it's still a no-go. Here is the smaller variant of the previous tires from the Formula Off-Roader, no change in the performance. Tires from the Tumbler and the 1989 Batmobile, similar diameter, and the first ones that actually work on the ramp. The truck seems to be slower though than the original. Anything beyond this will be even smaller than the original tires and might look funny, just like these from the Ferrari or the rally car, and they don't work for climbing. These are the tires from the Mercedes Aerox set. They really look small, but surprisingly the truck can climb pretty well with them. And the last funny one from the race truck, it sort of works, but I would not consider it for anything off-road. Here's one bonus, a no-name RC tire. I really like the look, it is slightly larger than the original, but the climbing performance is still not convincing. So, here are the versions again. You can compare the look. I would say the Tumbler tires are probably the only candidates that I would consider using instead of the original ones. Here's a quick test to see how the original tires perform on this little course. What is the maximum tilt angle? How is the ground clearance in the middle of the truck? And what is the obstacle that it cannot climb with the rather hard tires? If we take a look at the Tumbler ones, the stability and the ground clearance seems to be similar, but it does not perform better in any of the tests. If we compare some smaller wheels, stability is still pretty similar, but we clearly lose ground clearance and that affects the climbing ability. If we take a closer look at the Zerion tires again, we can see that they touch the body parts at multiple points, so this one would definitely require modifications to fit, and more than just removing the leathers. If I also consider the performance we saw on the ramp, I wouldn't go with these. Now let's take a quick look at the suspension. The set has shock absorbers with hard springs, and a lot of you wanted to see whether the look is more realistic with the soft ones. Well, here's the difference. The body sits almost in top position with the hard springs. There's a visible suspension travel, but there's not enough weight, so the body does not float on the suspension. It's quite jumpy. At this position, the rear wheels are already lifted from the ground. If I replace the shock absorbers with the ones that have soft springs, the difference is quite visible. The truck sits significantly lower, especially at the front where the weight pushes the suspension almost all the way down, so not much suspension travel is left. The rear sits still higher. If I put the truck on the same obstacle, the behavior of the suspension is more promising, at least if we are going for the look. The rear wheels stay on the ground. The problem with this setup is the decreased ground clearance, and apparently the stability was not really improved either. All in all, a little gain on the look side, but decreased performance. Finally, here are a few quick fixes for the truck before we go outside. I don't want to lose parts in the grass. The first one is to fix the hood in place. There are many ways to do this, but this might be the easiest and also matches the color. Simply remove the black axle pin and replace it with the dark bluish grey axle with stop. That fixes the hood to the beam and does not let it open. It's not a tight fix, but does the job. The hood won't open anymore. As you see, I also removed the rear view mirrors and replaced the empty holes with a black pin at the bottom and a light bluish grey half bush at the top. I capped the top mirror on the passenger side as that one does not fall off easily. The doors can be also fixed in place with a simple half bush. The cabin is still flexible enough to open the doors if needed, but during driving they stay in place. There are other things that can be simply removed, like the snorkel, the windshield wipers, the exhaust, the fire extinguishers, and the mud flaps at the rear. These were the things falling off easily during the indoor test so far. We'll see if anything else needs to be removed. The duck stays, so wish him luck. A last little modification on the front axle. A super simple swap to reduce the amount of pieces that sticks out towards the front. I simply removed these bushes and put them back from the other side. I also have to mention a potential issue that I still need to investigate further. Under extensive load, meaning trying to push the truck for a longer time on obstacles that it cannot climb, after a certain time the gears in the rear axle starts to crack. The reason is here. This 5 module long beam that holds the gears in place can move a tiny little bit outwards, and because of this the red gear of the differential and the black 22's gear driving it don't mesh perfectly anymore, so they start to crack. If you push the beam back, then you can continue driving normally and there won't be any cracking under normal load, but if you don't fix the cracking and you keep pushing the truck beyond its limits, then on a longer term you risk damaging your gears. At this point I would avoid drawing quick conclusions. I started to do some tests with different pieces, but I still need some more time, so stay tuned for an update about this later this week. I will also do a separate video about the driving experience outdoors. This is only a small sneak peek. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like it, and don't forget to subscribe and tap that notification bell. I'm sure you don't want to miss the next video. See you next time, bye bye.